Good morning. My name is Rick Blanco. I'm a battalion chief of the Southern Manatee Fire Rescue District, and I'd like to welcome you to the 9/11 World Trade Center Memorial Dedication. We're honored to have you here. We're also honored to be able to do this dedication so close to the 10th anniversary of the events of 9/11. Across America, there's some 1,200 pieces of twisted steel that were pulled from Ground Zero are being used to commemorate the bravery and anguish of that tragic day. The executive director of New York City's Port Authority, Christopher Ward, was quoted as saying, "It has quickly become a sacred mission to send pieces of steel into the world to tell the story of 9/11. We here at Southern Manatee Fire Rescue, residents of Manatee County, are honored and grateful to have been selected and entrusted as one of the thousands of applicants with such a remarkable artifact. Over 225 firehouses, police stations, churches, and cities across America will be dedicating money for a new mic. There we go. We'll be dedicating small-scale memorials over the next several days as we approach the 10th anniversary. All memorials are composed of debris from Ground Zero to help tell the story of 9/11 so that our future generations, which there's a lot of them in the room right now, will not forget. To be in the presence of a piece of steel from the World Trade Center is pretty powerful and inspiring. To see the scarring on the steel, the marks from impacts, images of where the steel came from, knowing what took place and how it changed America, this memorial is to inspire the heart and rekindle the mind in a very positive way, inspiring the heart and rekindling the mind of the lives that were lost, the family members, the friend of the friend you knew, the co-worker you had. The day the steel was brought into Bradenton, on that evening, a lady stepped into the trailer where we had the steel exposed, and she walked into the trailer and knelt down and put her hand on the steel, and she just began to sob. She had lost a direct family member in New York, and it was just an instant contact. It will inspire the heart. It will rekindle the mind. Amen. On July 18th, 2010, at precisely 9:11 p.m., the steel was brought into Bradenton from the security of New York Port Authority. Along the steel's path of travel to Bradenton, it was escorted by hundreds of firefighters, law enforcement officers, civilians, guiding and protecting its way back into the world. It's been over a year since we began this journey to create a memorial that would commemorate all the innocent lives taken on that awful day. The days and nights dedicated to planning, working, and creation of this memorial are but a blur, because it matters not, because our hearts have always been in the right place, thinking of the lives forever lost and changed that Tuesday morning. To all the lives that were taken from the World Trade Center, the Pentagon, and at Shanksville, Pennsylvania, to all the ones left in anguish on September 11, 2001, let us here today dedicate this memorial to them, because we will never forget. But I have to say that this memorial would not have been possible if not for the graciousness of others We want everyone to know this memorial has risen only because of the giving and devotion of our co-partners in this endeavor. We at Southern Manatee did lead this. It started with a firefighter on the floor. He's not here today. Firefighter Ryan Callagher put this thought forward, did some research, established committees, and we went forward with this until we are to where we are today, present time. With that said, I'm going to introduce Battalion Chief Herb Smith. He's going to lead us in recognizing these fine people. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Good morning. We'd like to thank you all for attending and sharing this special event with us today. Over a year ago, our own Lieutenant Ryan Callagher approached our administration with the concept of obtaining some steel from the World Trade Center, which the Port Authority was offering to emergency services personnel. A 4-member team traveled to New York expecting to secure a 12-foot long, 1-inch I-beam. Instead, they were given a 12-foot long box beam, which weighed approximately 2 tons. From the time they left Bradenton, they were met with open arms from various fire departments, law enforcement agencies, and motorcycle clubs. The support for our cause was admirable and at times overwhelming. Upon their return, many individuals and businesses offered their services and time to complete what is now a proud yet humbling reminder of September 11th, 2001, and the lives that were lost that fateful day. At this time, we'd like to thank those who helped make our monument a reality. If I call your name, please come up and accept a gift that we have for you. And please save your applause until the last contributor is mentioned. For loaning the trailer to transport the steel, which was a 2,500-mile trip, Billy Raley.
Thank you.
On that trailer was some signage of wrap, and that was Lee Manovich and the team at Signs Now headquarters. Thank you, sir. For the 9/11 World Trade Center steel reception, Jim Schatz and the crew at Firkin and Fox.
Thank you. Thank you. Jim, turn around for just a minute. I'll put Jim on the spot. He's wearing one of those great T-shirts we had set out that day when we came in.
I have some more.
The rebar that was used in the concrete slab, Dale Stubbs of R&W Distribution Incorporated. Donation of the granite, Nick Izzle and Matt Ozturk of the Granite Place. The ground compactor used was Scott Taylor of All Star Equipment. Forming and finishing the concrete slab, Matt Yoder of Matt Yoder Concrete. I know he's here.
He's a captured audience member. He's on duty today.
Thank you, Matt.
Yeah, thank you a lot. Thank you.
Construction oversight, Steve Gunnell of Mike Carter Construction. Refreshments today provided by Dan Murphy, Publix at University in Tuttle, and also Richard Cronin of Walmart University in Lockwood Ridge. 9/11 World Trade Center Steel Committee member and recipient Brad Ranney Sr. I'd also like to thank Joe Downs and the Southeast High School Orchestra for their music today. Joe might be outside. We'll give him that when we see him. Also, today the national anthem will be sung by Jim Brinson of Manatee County Sheriff's Department. And he might be outside also. We had architectural design for the concept was Dallas Leitner, and he's not present today. And we'd also like to thank Charlie Clapsaddle and the crew from METV, which we'll get with afterwards. Thank you, sir. The unveiling honors today are going to be handled by retired FDNY firefighter Jerry Hanley, and we'll present you with something here shortly. And also our keynote speaker is Garrett Lindgren, retired FDNY guest speaker today, so he'll be up here shortly. We'd also like to extend special thanks and recognition to some of the lead contributors that helped put this together. For the stenciling and painting of the granite, William King of King Signs Incorporated. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
He gets a,
Here you go, Bill.
The protective coating of the base and the concrete was done by Brian and Catherine Lundry of Linex of Sarasota. Are they here? The granite donation and assembly was Brooke Keck and Sherry Palazzo of Planet Stone Marble and Granite. Sandblasting and coating of the World Trade Center steel beam was Jody Ray of Hi-Pro. The crane work, monument placement, sandblasting and powder coating of the Pentagon was Laszlo and Noemi Slige. Thank you.
Thank you.
The crane work monument placement, Barry Miller of John Miller Crane Service. The concrete products, David Throckmorton and Regina Iovine, Armor Tight Concrete. The engraving of the granite, John Priestap of Sign Masters of Florida. And finally, a company that spent countless man-hours as well as their own equipment and materials for the steel fabrication and assembly, and who truly made this possible. Brad Rainey Jr. and Stephanie Gross of All Phases Welding.
Bob, come on up for a moment. Bob is one of their laborers. He did a lot of work on this monument as well.
I'd like to show a hand of appreciation for all these.
We're going to move on to our honored guest speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, it's going to be my pleasure to introduce the guest speaker who served many years with FDNY, FDNY on Rescue Company number 3. He's going to share some extraordinary experiences during the events of September 11th. Please welcome Firefighter Garrett Lindgren.
Wow, what a special day to be here. I was fortunate enough to be at Firkin and Fox when the steel arrived in Bradenton, and That was such a well-attended event. It was great to see so many people were interested enough to come out and welcome it here into our home. I really look forward to seeing the finished product. I've heard a lot about it, and pretty excited to check it out. I'm going to keep this brief. I just have a short few words to say. Nearly 10 years ago, our nation was stunned when 2,752 innocent people were murdered by terrorists who used 4 hijacked airliners as missiles. One of the planes crashed into a field in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. 1 struck the Pentagon. 2 flew into the towers of the World Trade Center in New York City. At the World Trade Center, a massive rescue effort began immediately, and 25,000 civilians were successfully rescued from the towers. Unfortunately, as we all know, before some of the civilians were able to get out, some of them were trapped above the fire and had no chance of ever getting out, as well as many of the rescuers never got a chance to get themselves out. The towers came down and they were trapped, and many of them were never seen again. After the towers collapsed, it quickly became apparent that many rescuers were among the missing. We would eventually learn that in addition to all the innocent victims who were on the planes or working in the towers, that 23 New York City police officers, 37 Port Authority police officers, and 343 New York City firefighters had been killed. As a firefighter, 2,752 represents an unimaginable number of fatalities to experience in an entire career, let alone in one incident. For most of us, I don't know if the realities of that terrible day will ever fully sink in. Unfortunately, all these years later, the attacks of September 11th are still causing pain, suffering, and death. Unbeknownst to many, in the 10 years following 9/11, over 1,000 people have died of illnesses related to their exposure to the contaminated environment in the vicinity of the World Trade Center. Most of these people were members of the first responder community, construction workers, and volunteers who had assisted in the recovery and cleanup. In addition, over 10,000 first responders who operated in the toxic environment at Ground Zero are currently suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, gastrointestinal illnesses, numerous forms of cancer, asthma, lung, sinus, and other respiratory ailments. And we mustn't forget the huge number of family members whose lives have been forever disrupted by the deaths and illnesses of their loved ones. And I can tell you from firsthand experience, my family has had a pretty tough ride there for quite a few years after 9/11, because after going through an event like that and being so closely involved in working at that site, the tremendous amount of loss that I suffered personally, I certainly came home for the first time after 9/11, I guess about 11 days later, and I was definitely not the same person who had gone to work in the firehouse the night before it happened. And it took a lot of years and a lot of work until I kind of got back to where I probably should be. And my kids were the first ones to tell me when they finally realized that I was kind of coming out of the dark. And they were pretty happy about that. But I can understand the problems that all the families have gone through and continue to go through today. When Battalion Chief Herb Smith and Lieutenant Ryan Callagher contacted me to ask if I'd be willing to speak at today's ceremony, I sensed that they were uncomfortable, almost as if they felt they were putting me on the spot. The truth is, I'm truly honored that I was asked to be here today. I feel that as a survivor, it's both a privilege as well as a duty to remind people about what happened to our country on that morning 10 years ago, and to urge them to never forget. Thank you.
Garrett, thank you very much. We appreciate that. We just want to present this to you, and well, if you open it now, might ruin the unveiling, so keep it closed for a little bit.
Okay.
But Thank you for being here tonight.
My pleasure, Chief. Thank you.
Thank you. Want to introduce another special guest. Ladies and gentlemen, before we convene outside, I want to introduce this guest. He's been given the honors of unveiling the monument today. But I just wanted to tell you a little bit about him, and if you kind of spoke to him, and he's okay with us. He doesn't like public speaking, and we're fine with that. Most people don't. He is the father of an FDNY firefighter, Sean Hanley of Ladder 20, who perished in the attacks of 9/11. He himself, also a firefighter with over 20 years of service to FDNY, retired now. He lives right here in our local area. He's a great friend to us, to this fire department and many others. He owns that motorcycle you've seen up front. If you see that motorcycle on your way in, on your way out, understand a little bit of the history. That motorcycle belonged to his son, Sean Hanley, and he'd purchased it just before the attacks took place. His father has taken the motorcycle and made it a tribute to his son. And it's a fine piece. Please be sure to stop and take a look at it. We certainly thank Jerry Hanley. Please stand up, Jerry, for a moment and let everybody recognize you for being here today. And he is going to be given the honors for the unveiling today. Round of applause.
Good morning, family, and you all are my family. I lost my son on 9/11, and I feel honored that the community has invited me here to have the unveiling of the memorial dedication. I'm just not much of a public speaker, and I really appreciate the honor. Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming out. Convene out front at this time in the inside ceremony. And go ahead and get out front. Thank you.
Honor Guard, uniform personnel, on 10, 2, 3, 10, 2.
Hi, Gabrielle Slater here with Garrett Lindgren, former FDNY firefighter. Garrett, so great to see you today. Today on this 10th year anniversary of 9/11, how are you feeling? What do you want to remember?
Well, certainly all of my friends that I lost on that terrible day and all of the friends I've lost since then who gotten ill from their service at 9/11. and I guess really our whole country, because it was a devastating event that hopefully nobody will ever forget, and it changed our country forever.
And here at today's dedication ceremony, what does it mean to you to have a piece of the World Trade Center right in your own community?
It's actually gave me chills when they unveiled it. I had an idea what it was going to be. I know a lot of the firefighters here in Southern Manatee. I'm friendly with them, and they had told me previously what they were planning to do with it. But actually seeing it unveiled and seeing that seal again, actually it's a mixed feeling. It was chills because it's beautiful and it's nicely done. At the same time, I spent the last 3 months of my career climbing on a lot of that same steel, and it's still a little difficult to deal with, but it's a huge honor to all of us that it's here now, all the first responders who were involved, and all the folks who lost their lives that day.
Do you think having this piece of the steel here in our community will encourage people to kind of remember year-round about the events of that day?
Well, I certainly hope it does. I know that's the intent of the Southern Manatee firefighters, and if something like this doesn't do it, I don't know what else could. I'm sure it'll be inspiring to many people.
And just one more question for you. Today, what do you want people to take away from the ceremony? What do you want them to remember this year on 9/11?
Well, again, we always say never forget. We never want to forget exactly what happened on that day, that we were attacked by terrorists in our country, on our soil. So we don't want to forget that. We don't want to forget the 2,752 innocent, decent people that were murdered that morning. And we really don't want to forget that since 9/11, 1,000 first responders have died from illnesses related to their service at Ground Zero, and that there are 10,000 first responders in every state in this country who worked at 9/11 who are now ill. So we need to think of them and their families too.
Well, Mr. Lindgren, it's been a pleasure speaking to you, and thank you for your service to this country.
My honor. Thank you.
We're now here with Representative Jim Boyd and Garrett Lindgren. Representative Boyd, what does the 10th anniversary of 9/11 mean to you?
Well, it reminds me of just a horrible tragedy that was perpetrated on America, a murderous, cowardice event that just brings back horrible memories of that fateful day.
Now, you've seen your community come together and build this monument here. What's the significance of having a piece of steel from the World Trade Center in your own community?
I think it's quite an honor. It's something that we all should be proud of, and it helps us to remember that day, and it also helps us to commemorate and honor those that gave so much to keep our country safe.
And Representative Boyd, are you going to encourage your constituents as well as your family to come and visit this monument?
Absolutely. I hope this gets all kinds of media attention. I hope it gets all kind of community attention. I intend to put it in our newsletter that goes out from our office. I'm going to encourage my colleagues that are in this community in the legislature as well to put it in their newsletter, so hopefully it will encourage all of their constituents and friends to come out and visit it as well.
And walking away from this ceremony this morning, what do you want people to remember about 9/11?
Let's never forget. Let's never forget as a society that we're vulnerable, that we've got to stay strong, but let's never forget those that gave the ultimate sacrifice to keep us safe.
Well, Representative Boyd, it's been a pleasure speaking with you, and thank you for taking some time to think about 9/11 this morning with us.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm here with Jerry Hanley, retired after 20 years of service to the New York Fire Department. Jerry, tell me today, what does the 10th anniversary of 9/11 mean to you?
Well, in my heart of hearts, it's a very painful experience, 9/11. I lost my son in the towers. He was in the first tower to come down. It was the second one that was hit. And the loss of a son or child is just not the way things should be. We shouldn't go first. The boy shouldn't go first. The family should go.
Well, Jerry, I'm incredibly sorry for your loss. Can you tell me a little bit about the significance of the motorcycle ride you took this morning?
Well, the motorcycle that I rode this morning was a motorcycle that my son purchased in 2001. He was very fond of the motorcycle. We decided we were never going to get rid of it. About 5 years ago, I had it transported down here from Staten Island, and I had a friend of mine do all the artwork on it. He put everything on it that I wanted, did a very nice job on it.
Well, that's a really beautiful tribute to your son's memory. What does it mean to you? What's the significance of having a piece of the steel from the World Trade Center in your own community here?
This piece here is very significant to me. It's just beautiful, and I'm not too much of a public speaker. You're going to have to cut that one.
Oh, I think you're doing a great job, not to worry. And as you walk away from the ceremony, what do you want people to remember about 9/11?
I just don't want them to forget.
Well, I think we all agree that we'll never forget. Thank you, Mr. Hanley, for being here with me this morning, and thank you for your sacrifices for our country. Hi, I'm here with Manatee County Commissioner Robin DeSabatino. How are you doing today?
Wonderful, and you?
I'm fantastic. On the 10th anniversary of 9/11, what does this mean to you?
It's just such a solemn event. It's very bittersweet, and just to look at this monument over here, it's like it was yesterday that the event happened. I think it's always going to be etched in our hearts and our minds, and a lot of the children here are not even 10 years old, so they didn't witness it, but their loved ones have been affected in one way or another, and it's just a very, very touching event today.
Do you think that having a piece of the steel from the World Trade Center is significant for this community, maybe especially for the children?
Absolutely. It's a piece of our history, and it's right in my district, and I can drive by it any time and take a look at it. I love our country, I love our county and my district, and we're all a part of this great event today.
In what ways do you think you're going to try and encourage your community to come and visit this monument so they can remember?
Well, I can bring it up at our events, and I will mention it on Tuesday at our upcoming meeting that we had this wonderful event here today, and it's open for the public to come see at any time.
And as you leave this event this morning, what do you want people to remember about 9/11?
9/11 is just a piece of our history. We're fighters and we're survivors, and we've all pulled together and we will move on, and this is just a wonderful, wonderful country.
Well, thank you, Mr. Sabatino. It's been a pleasure speaking with you.
So much.
Hi, I'm here with Chief Smith and Chief Blanco of the Manatee County Fire Department. What a fantastic ceremony this was this morning, Chiefs.
Thank you. Yes, it was. Thank you.
Chief Blanco, will you tell me a little bit about what it took to get this piece of steel here to our community?
It was a labor of love, you could say, from the very, very beginning. It was many months of hard work at nights away from our families, with a lot of donation from the community and members of the public who are helping us put this together.
And Chief Smith, what do you think the significance of having an actual piece of the World Trade Center in your own town will mean for our community?
Well, I think this is going to be an area where family members, friends that have lost loved ones can come here and reflect and pay their tribute to what had happened that fateful day. And like Chief Blanco said, a lot of work went into doing this, and we thank all the businesses and local individuals who donated their time and efforts towards this.
And is this 9/11 going to be particularly significant for you, Chief Blanco, after all the work you've done here to try and get this monument made?
Absolutely. Very significant. We're so pleased to be able to do it so close to the 10th anniversary. As I said earlier, 225 sculptures are being unveiled from here the September 10th, 9 days from now, and we're one of them. We really anticipate this 9/11 being a Sunday. This will be a spot where people will come and reflect and possibly bring some flowers, drop some American flags. Just it'll be a great spot for people to come in and just reflect on what's taken place in their lives, and yeah, it'll be a significant day for sure.
Well, I think that's so wonderful. And just one more question for you, Chief Smith. What do you want people to remember on this 9/11?
I'd like them to remember to not forget what happened that day, and we need to make sure that we educate our children and even the new rookies coming in, so that they understand the importance of what we lost in the form of 343 firefighters in regards to the fire service in particular.
Well, gentlemen, it's been a real pleasure speaking with both of you, and thank you so much for taking your time to put together a wonderful monument like this for our community.
Thank you.
Thanks, our pleasure.